when it comes to my men, what did we find? We find that everyone said I was a worthless piece of shit and they hated me, and it wasn't the case. So if we're looking at the history of my exes, what you do see is that with my first boyfriend, though we don't like each other and it's obvious, we're trying to be mutually respectful, but we're very distant from each other's lives. We do not know anything about each other's lives, and yet he had a testimony. The second boyfriend, honestly, I never see that guy. Like, it was just, there's something wrong. It's just, it was not a good mix. We weren't a good match. That's it. So he hasn't really come up because he's not been in my life since we dated. We just split ways. Plus, he kind of like jacked my dad's TV, and I was like, that's really rude. So anyway, I could pick it, let me tell you. And then Alan was like, oh yeah, she meant nothing, right? But then what did we see Alan's words? It said, we were the best thing that ever happened to each other. If it was difficult, it's because it was so worth it. And this was years after the fact. And Matt, we see that he's like, I want to be with you forever. He sends many, many, many love letters, just spouting sonnets about how perfect I am, sexy, smart, caring, supportive, fully giving him, attention, whatever, just the works. He goes on and on and on and on. And then we see that after the relationship, he's still trying to get me back. He's like doing exercises and books to get me back and stuff. That's not what he said. And then we see with Larry's like, he's like, I will always love you. I mean, these are verbatim quotes that I'm giving you, that I've shown you. You will always be loved by one person, me, and this world cannot lose you. Keep going. You're so important to this world. And it's not what he said. And then where are we at? Larry, okay. And then Nick said he hardly knew me, right? He said he hardly knew me, and then really the quotes were like, oh, I had such a haunting good memories from going down to LA with you, and you're one of my favorite, most inspirational people, and he states it as a relationship. No relationship is perfectly scheduled, and whatever. That's not what he said. And then, Gustavo, we see he's spouting sonnets, and then he says, oh, she's a worthless piece of shit, right? Okay. And then Joe was like, oh, she meant nothing to me, and then that's not really how he was right. I don't know, but that's not really how he was writing. It's like, oh, you were such a good queen, I love you, right? And then Bryce, I didn't get it in writing, but it was the same thing. He's like, I always will love you. And I was like, don't be like that. He's like, it's just pathetic. I was like, it's not pathetic, it's beautiful. And who else? Corbin actually was a little smitten kitten for a second there too. But anyway, you guys have tried to frame this to be that I'm awful, that no one likes me, that I'm a terrible girlfriend, that these people weren't really interested, that they didn't value me. None of which was true, and I've proven that with each and every of my actual men. Oh, and then Ben, we see from his correspondence with his ex trying to warn me about him that he's a con artist, okay? Not responsible for everybody's actions, but in that correspondence, you do see it was withholding sex for a long time, and long time, 2.5, 3 months, and in the end, when we're done, he's still like, hey sweetheart, we never got to smoke that bowl. So it means that he's at least on good terms. I'm like kind of like PO to him, but and that's probably not what he said either. Weird. Oh, and then Abraham said that I meant nothing, and then you saw verbatim with his writing that he's like, things got so serious because my feelings were real, and I love you, and I can't tell you why I have to go, but I just do have to go, and dearest Tara, and blah 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 blah. Okay, these people. Look, man, I don't know. You're trying to frame this whole thing of I'm disposable, that I hook up with everyone. I'm like, not the case. And when I do hook up with people, they do become, or even not, as some of the cases are, I don't know. No, I think it's just, to be honest, I think it's just because I'm a love addict that they feel this intensity, and so they intensely emote. But that's just how it's always been my whole life on dating, and that's not the story you guys told me.